It's the Jack and Nick Horror Show.
Oh, it's my favorite time of the year. It's that time when the Purge movie comes out and you have to watch it. Did you watch it?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about Christmas, because I know you love Christmas.
Oh, I do love Christmas and Halloween.
This would have been good if it came out around Christmas.
Or Halloween.
Wouldn't it be cool if, like, The Purge came out, like, if they did a Purge movie set during Christmas?
Technically, it happens on March 27th every year. But anyway, hi, I am New Jersey Nick. This is Jack. Jack, say hello.
Hi, I'm going to be very quiet on this episode.
No, you're not. I'm going to be telling you about the movie that you did not see.
So I'm going to be the audience.
Jack is going to be the audience, but like the interactive audience, who I have to convince that this movie is worth seeing, because it totally is.
Do I have to be like the chill pothead guy, or like the angry neckbeard guy, or do I have to be like the girl with like red hair but also like some blue streaks? Like who would I have to be? And that's not all about the girl, by the way, before anybody says I'm sexist and tries to kick me off the Jack and Nick show.
Holy shit.
But like, you know, who do I have to be here? Do I have to be everybody?
No, you could just be Jack.
Okay,
and
I'll
like
be Jack.
It'll totally work if you're just Jack.
Okay.
So you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
I'm sponsoring you, listener.
Sponsor? Yeah, sponsor. All right, fine. He's your surrogate. So
I'm your chaperone.
Let's go to the movie of the week, which is The First Purge.
What? You're doing the one with Ethan Hawke?
No. Whoa. That's now known as Purge 1 in my book.
Well, that would be The First Purge, wouldn't it?
No, that would be The First Purge movie. This is The First Purge, the prequel to the first one.
So it's the first... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing.
It makes sense.
This isn't a bit. I forgot it was called The First Purge. Just like Raj over there.
Raj?
Yeah, our listener, Raj.
We have a listener?
Yeah, his name's Raj.
Start the show.
I'm starting. You start it. Go.
Okay. So then we'll have a music here.
Jack and Nick.
Hi. This is Nick. Oh, wait. We're talking about The First Purge.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
So, The First Purge is...
I'm Emily, and I didn't really like that introduction.
Hi, Emily. Shut the fuck up. Just leave your comments on Twitter like everybody else. The First Purge is a 2018 American horror film, and it is the fourth in the series of Purge movies. It is technically a prequel to the Purge movies. What The Purge is, in case you've been living under a rock since 2013, The Purge is the government in America has gone awful, which is no longer fiction, by the way. Well, I mean, it wasn't fiction then. People just didn't know. I mean, really, the government in America went awful before you were in, like, the 1960s. But that's a story. But the Purge movies, the government has declared every year on March something or other, there will be a 12-hour span where all is legal, including, they always make that point, including, the idea behind it is that people will purge out all of their anger and all of their violent ill will towards other people out of their system. And of course, what the Purge actually does is just like all things that the government does, anything negative, kind of affects lower classes more than it affects rich people. So it basically starts clearing out the lower classes. The Purge works to a degree, unfortunately, and then they keep doing it over and over again. and making people's lives even more miserable in America. And the rich get richer because now they're selling you purge insurance so that your place could be put back together. Now, Jack hasn't seen this movie. I have.
I've seen the first three.
You've seen all three. Give me your opinions on the first three. 1, 2, 3, like that.
One was disappointing because it was a home invasion movie and I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
2 was more of what I wanted, except it was still enjoyable, more enjoyable than the first one, but it just felt a little too, I don't know, it just felt like made for cable movie. That's kind of how I felt about it. The third one I really enjoyed because I understand they were making a statement, and I think it's funny. It's not funny, really not funny at all, but the outcome of the third one kind of is the exact opposite of what happened in America at the same time. But I enjoyed it. I thought the third one was, they reined it in a little bit more from the second one to the third one. So I saw the series getting progressively better.
Oh, man. Because let me tell you, the Purge movies are something I love. I love the concept of the Purge just because it's like it works as an allegory for America, for a horrible America, for a horrible America, which, like, I know a lot of people have just woken up to the fact that we have a horrible America recently because, you know, I mean, the president is outwardly horrible now. But the government has sucked for a long time and has done a lot of bad things to America. And maybe you're a foreign listener and don't understand this, but yeah, the government doesn't work the way that you would expect a government to work. It doesn't help people, you know? So, and Jack and I are both rather apolitical. Like, we don't really, like, even like when we talk, we don't really talk about politics a lot because we both know that, like, politicians are crooks. Either way, they suck, you know? So anyway, that's my I'm putting words in Jack's mouth, but that's pretty much how we feel. So my takes on the Purge movies, just to recap, I thought number 1 was good but didn't deliver on the promise of what a Purge could be like. I feel like part 2 was like GTA Online, the movie, if you ever played Grand Theft Auto Online, where it's just like constant explosions and oh my God, what's happening? A tremendous action horror film. One of the best action horror movies that I can name. And I mean, the tone shifted from home invasion to action horror. The third one was also action horror and is in fact a direct sequel to part 2. This movie, The First Purge, is a prequel to those, and it covers what was literally the first purge when the government gets overtaken by the new founding fathers, which are kind of like mega Republicans, I guess. That's the best way to describe them if you've never seen a Purge movie. You know, they're the rich white people. That's how the movie plays it. And the richest white people. The fourth Purge movie differs in tone as well, as this one becomes a blaxploitation slasher, which I was not really expecting from the trailers. I thought it was going to be more action horror, but I thought this was excellent. I don't know if it's my favorite of the Purge movies, but it might be. I'd really have to go back and watch part 2 again, but I just thought that this one was like real good. Real good, man. And I just can't believe it. I can't believe it was as good as it was, because normally you get up to part 4 in a horror series and things just start going downhill. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a movie that is produced by Michael Bay. You think that it would start getting worse, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, but man, they added a slasher villain of sorts. Instead of following in the first movie, they follow one plot line, which is just the family versus people who are trying to get into the house, essentially. The second movie, they follow a couple of plot lines of different people who are living at like street level when the purge hits. Part 3 has a similar type of plot structure where they keep bouncing back and forth between these plots. Keeps everything moving. Part 4, the First Purge, follows basically 2 plots that interweave with each other and maybe a subplot off to the side. And because of that, it is an even tighter experience than the other movies were. And it's really great. The First Purge was an experimental purge on just Staten Island. It wasn't like nationwide. And changing the setting helps because the other movies take place. The first 2 take place in California, and the third one took place in Washington, D.C. And this one, a lot of the story surrounds just like life in the ghetto, in the public housing units, that they expect to just tear themselves apart, and that all the gang violence and stuff will decrease over the next year because the gangs are just going to go nuts for one night and probably kill most of the gang members, and things will just kind of go away. Like they're just going to make the problem go away by like turning up the volume all the way. The noise is too much for you. You turn up the volume all the way, the speaker breaks. This is the Purge. Oh man, the characters in this movie, are all like people of color. I mentioned it was a blaxploitation film. I stand by that. A lot of the characters are like either drug dealers, people who want to be drug dealers, crazy drug addicts, like just sort of like people who have been marginalized and are trying to exist the only way that they know how in this sort of really fucked up system, which exists in America. It's not like that's not real. You know what I mean? Man, and I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but one of the plots involves a wannabe drug dealer guy. On the day of the purge, right before it happens, he like gets into a fight with some crazy drug addict who's trying to buy drugs from him, and he decides that he will purge to get this crazy drug addict off the streets, right? And the new founding fathers are paying the residents of Staten Island to stay home during the purge. They're giving them like $5,000 just to stay home. And also they're paying some people to go purge. And the people who are going purging are wearing eye contacts that glow in the dark and are also like filming what's going on so that they could broadcast it on the internet or cable news or what have you. And that also plays to great effect because it'll be like suddenly like a bunch of eyes in the distance. I mean, just an excellent touch. And these movies, the Purge movies, have all had their sort of excellent details that become iconic of the movies themselves. In the first movie, you have the character of the polite stranger who shows up with his plastic smiling mask. And then he takes it off, and he still kind of looks that way underneath, you know? And then you have, in the other movies, you have the people who wear the dehumanizing masks. And they even touch on that in this movie, why people are wearing masks as they purge to kind of make themselves disconnected from what they're doing. And I think that that's a great detail that you would see in a classic horror movie. And in this one, you kind of get the people with glowing eyes running around chasing other people. Man, then like I like the stuff that happens in this movie. You have gang members turning on gang members. Then the Klan shows up and just like such great horror action set beside a slasher that is happening at the same time. I really like this movie.
And where does Marissa Tomei come into this?
Yeah, Marissa Tomei is in this movie, who you may know as Aunt May in the last Spider-Man movie, or the stripper from The Wrestler. She,
My cousin Vinny.
Yeah, she's a psychologist that had the idea for the Purge, and the NFA are, they like held her up on a pedestal and were like, we got to try this great idea. Maybe it'll save America. And then they kind of rig it, and she gets real mad at it. And, that's it. I'm not going to talk much more about that plot line because I'm not going to spoil this movie. I really think that you should see The First Purge. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to people. I think that it's a great idea. And I think the more fucked up America becomes, especially the more divided people are, the better the Purge movies are sort of becoming. Like, I feel like, and I said this on my last Purge review, if you go back a couple of years to when I did the Purge election year, I actually did it on Jack and Nick's show. You can go back and listen to my review of it. In the first movie, they didn't know how good they had it with the concept that they came up with. James DeMonico was the writer and director. And it was produced by Blumhouse at the time. And, you know, they had this idea for what if all crime is legal? How crazy could that get? And they told a story about, like, you know, a home invasion. And it wasn't it was a big hit, but I mean, I think everybody was kind of let down by it because this was a movie where you would leave and go like, man, it must have been crazy outside of that house. Can you imagine? And people did imagine. And within a year, they had another movie made that was fulfilling that imagination. I almost don't think that they understood how good of an idea it was in the beginning, especially for a way to showcase a broken America that has sort of institutionalized inequalities that are built into the system and just like things that we can't get over now. And I mean, what I'm talking about, obviously you all know what I'm talking about. There's economic inequalities. There's growing racism in America. There's all these different things that are kind of, in a way, spiraling out of control, as you would see at the end of an empire if you've ever and I mean, it's kind of scary to say that, but it's kind of true too. And granted, it's not the worst off America's ever been in its history. Probably was worse when there was a civil war, but we're kind of close to that. And The Purge is a great allegory for all of this at once. It has so many points in the movie where, granted, at times it's kind of ham-fisted, but also I don't care if it's being ham-fisted. I don't care. I like it. I think it kind of works because it makes it even cheesier in the way that, like, when you would watch a movie from like the 70s or 80s, they'll have some sort of like political commentary, but it'll be cheesy and over the top, you know? Mm-hmm. You look at a movie like They Live, and I love They Live, and it's totally cheesy. That movie's cheesy as hell. I mean, like, just look at how the monsters look like skeletons, you know, the aliens. And I love that movie. I don't want to talk about how much I love They Live. I feel like we could do a whole episode on that. And They Live is probably more relevant now than ever. And it probably will continue to be more and more relevant as media itself grows and people's lives become dependent on it even more every day. And it's the same thing with The Purge. The more that things kind of spiral out of control, the more that The Purge becomes a reflection of society. And the best horror movies ever in history are always that sort of reflection of social issues of their time. It's why a movie like Night of the Living Dead is so poignantly remembered. Why Dawn of the Dead is so poignantly remembered, because of its focus on consumerism. Go Google it. Okay, we're not doing Dawn of the Dead. The point is, The Purge falls into that sort of special category. All the Purge movies do. And I mean, yeah, sure, they're dumb. Yeah, sure, they're violent, ultra violent. And I mean, I love the ultra violence. I'm here for the ultra violence. But I think that the movies have captured modern America and people's fears about America in a way that is engaging and thought-provoking. And I wouldn't say that about most movies. Now, I'm not saying it's like the greatest movie of all time. I'm not saying it's the greatest movie series of all time. But I'm saying it's not like the Saw movies. The Saw movies, or like, you know, a lot of the movies that we got from the last decade, were just like everything about the torture porn genre. We're just like, oh, you're gonna see something crazy now, and then what happened? You'd see someone torn up to bits by a saw. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And here, you're getting a lot more than that. I mean, granted, it's still kind of simple. It's still rudimentary. It's not really complex plot work. It's not. It's simple, but it's an effective allegory. I guess I'll get off my pedestal about The Purge now. Jack, you have any questions about this movie?
Well, here's what I thought about the First Purge. You can follow me at Jacob K.
No. The show's not over. We can still talk about this a little. Man.
How on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most violent, how violent is this movie?
Compared to other movies or compared to other Purge movies?
Other Purge movies.
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably about a 7 compared to the other Purge movies. I would say probably 2. The Purge 2 might be the most ultra-violent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, this movie has some ridiculous violence, too. But I don't feel like it... I don't feel like the focus of the movie was the violence itself. I felt like that there was a good story being told between characters that you care about, and just, you know, a good, like, even though you know what's going to happen in this movie, you obviously know the Purge is a success at the end because they made more Purges after it. What happens in it?
Now,
just it makes you care, man. And like, I know that's your common complaint about horror movies nowadays, is that they'll give you like 6 jerk-offs and you don't care about any of them, and then they all die. In this movie, you probably don't want anybody to die. Even the slasher villain that they throw in, you kind of don't want him to die, because you know that if he does, then the slashing will stop. And you don't want any of the main characters, even the minor characters, to die, because it's easy to be sympathetic towards them because they're in a game that they don't want to be in. It's not like in another horror movie where it's like, you know, the people who are killed by Jason are killed by Jason because they were fornicating, they were doing the drugs, they were drinking. You know, in this movie, their government has turned against them and are coming after them. They look at them as hangers-on and people who are contributing nothing to society, much like your government probably looks at poor people. Probably, I say. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on the television series?
Oh, yeah. So there's a television series coming out. You can watch the trailer for it. I'll probably watch at least an episode or 2. I'm very bad at watching TV shows. I've completed very few. I don't really have a lot of time for TV shows. So far, it doesn't look so great. I appreciate that they're trying to expand the Purge mythos, and I think now is the time for it in terms of...
Funny that it's on the USA Network.
Yeah, that is. Especially, like, okay, it's on the USA Network, which is ironic, obviously. But the USA Network doesn't really have great TV shows. And I say this knowing that the TV shows I watch the most, which are Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, pro wrestling, sports entertainment, are both on the USA Network. So the only TV channel I actually watch is USA.
Commander USA, that was USA Network.
When the hell was that?
That was in the 80s.
Exactly. Like, okay, so was Denver the Last Dinosaur in
La Femme
1988?
Nikita, that was on the USA Network.
Oh, my God. All right, so they haven't had good TV shows since they were airing reruns of Murder, She Wrote back in 1991. They're modern TV shows. I mean, those are the shows that you accidentally have on in the background, and you're like, what the hell is this? Like,
a lot of them don't even last, do they?
No, they last longer than you'd expect. Like this fucking reality show that is the worst thing that has ever been accidentally left on in my house. The Chris Lee Knows Best. Have you ever seen this shit?
Nah.
Now, if there's someone who deserves to be purged, I'm going to say it's Chris Lee. All right, but the problem is, if there was a purge...
Speaking on Mike's behalf, I have no idea who that is.
Okay, I'm not done yelling about it yet. This guy would probably be on the new founding fathers of America. Now, all right, so Chris Lee is some sort of like designer or something, and he's a dude who's very effeminate, but he's a Southern man, so he effeminately talks about his children in ways that like a Southern man would. Like, I don't want my daughter dating this guy, except he'll say it with like a lisp and like he's a flaming gay dude. And it's like, I guess that's like what makes the show good, but it is like repugnant, horrible. Can't leave it on in my house. Oh my God, it's pretty bad. And they have other shows on the USA Network that I just don't care about. Like, I don't even know the names of them. Suits and Blue Collar.
Suits is a great show.
Is it?
I've never watched Suits.
Suits is about guys who wear suits. And then there's I don't know. I don't even know the names of the shows. Psych. Okay, like Psych is a perfect example of a show that's on USA where it's like it's a comedy and it's not horribly offensive, but damned if I know anyone who watches it, you know? And like that makes me worry about The Purge because I love The Purge and I want it to be something and I want the show to mean something, but I have no reason to expect it to if it's going to be on the USA Network. Because in order for a show to get on the USA Network, when it's a high concept idea that's built off and adapted from another property, it has to start at the top. They're going to start at Showtime and HBO, and they're going to get turned down. And then the show is going to go to, you know, whoever's next in line and whoever's next in line. And like at some point, like if it mattered, it would probably be on a streaming network, right? Mm-hmm. Because they would have paid for it. So that means that like Amazon probably passed on it. And Amazon has like really bad TV shows. Netflix, think about the garbage on Netflix. And they didn't want The Purge, you know? Unless it was just like something that was worked out by the movie theaters that was like, yes, we made a deal with USA, sight unseen. They're paying $1 billion for the show, which could have happened. Mm-hmm. Could have happened for all I know, but I think that TV in general gets shopped around a bit before that happens. So maybe USA was just the highest bidder. I don't know. I kind of wish it. Like if you told me that it was going to be on AMC or you know something like that, I'd be like, oh, that's where The Walking Dead is. So therefore, they have slightly better television, or at least there's some hope for it. I have no idea how it's going to be on USA. I'll watch it for an episode or two. That's my analysis of keep your expectations low with regards to that. And I'm sure that they got to make a Purge 5 after this, right? They have to make a sequel. I assume that we're going to go up to at least...
How much did it make?
Over 100 million.
But
just over.
This one just made the first Purge?
Yeah, this one was I think it was the second lowest Purge movie in terms of earnings. I think parts 2 and 3 made more, but this made more than the first.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not doing bad as far as I know. I checked it on Box Office Mojo.
Oh yeah, right now it says 98 million worldwide. United States opening weekend was 17, but its budget was 13. So,
all right.
So it made money.
Here I've got all 4.
Okay.
The lifetime gross of all 4 movies in America. The first one made 64. The second one made 71 million. Mm-hmm. The third one made 79 million, and the last one so far has made 62 million in America, but it's still in theaters. The 100 million must be worldwide.
Wow.
I can't imagine that these movies play well in other countries, but it's still probably going to end up somewhere in the same range, like 60 to 70 million. It'll probably be out of theaters like by the time this comes out. Don't. But I really enjoyed it.
So, before we finish this, I have a question for you.
Sure.
How would you rank Purge movies? Off
Oh,
white.
I thought I already said that, didn't I?
You did, but I just want to clarify it.
I think either right now, part 2 and the First Purge, the First Purge and the Purge Anarchy are tied. Then the Purge election year, then the Purge original.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
All right. So, that's the show.
That's
Nick?
the show. It's a quick show this week. Sorry,
Yeah.
kids, but we're trying to crank them out as much as possible, which means some of them got to be short.
Some of them have to be short. Sorry, people. Well, we're gonna
people
do
still like
we're gonna do a long one soon.
So,
Anyway, well, Nick, where can people follow you?
at New Jersey Nick on Twitter,
I'm at JacobK666.
that's great.
Yes.
At Jack and Nick Show is our combined Twitter for the show. And also follow us on Facebook, and you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and also we're on YouTube if that's more convenient for you.
Correct. Nick, I thank you. We have shows.
I thank you. Purge well, or whatever. May the purge be with you.
I'll think of a funny one, like in the middle of the night. And I'll be like,
All right, well,
"Damn
you
it."
got like 2 years before the next movie comes out, so.
Okay, I'll save it for then.
All right.
And people say it's lame anyway, so. All right. Good night. Thanks for listening to our show.
Good night.
Love your body, Larry.
Bye.